probably the appropriate first thing to start with is just both of you. I talked about this for an hour on Thursday night, so I'm okay to sit back. But Paul, do you want to share any thoughts about what you thought when the assassination of Charlie Kirk happened? What kind of went through your mind? What you were thinking, and I guess possibly then subsequently 3 days later, what's fleshed out for you?
It was a really fascinating flashpoint for me because it reminded me of when Donald Trump got shot. And there's a vacuum of information. So suddenly you have all of these conspiracies going and nobody knows exactly what's going on. And you hear all of these rumors and what ifs and maybes and the blame game. And we saw a lot of the blame game out of this one without any actual concrete information. And I found from a communication perspective, that was really fascinating to me because it just repeats over and over. We saw it again with Tom Phillips. There's this vacuum of information. People fill it up with things that they've heard and people that they know who know people who have heard things. And so that is a really dangerous way to communicate, but it's also a really prominent way to communicate, I think, these days in the 21st century with social media. When I heard the news, it's one of those, well, that's not a good thing. I'm not a fan of Charlie Kirk. I'm not going to mourn his passing. I don't think the things that he said were particularly pleasant things. They hurt a lot of people. I don't think it was a nice thing for him to have to pass away like that. I don't think political violence is the answer at all. So that part of it, really bad. I do feel sorry for his wife and kids. No wife or kid should ever have to witness something like that. But I don't mourn him, if that makes sense.
Yeah. What about you, Mohan? Any kind of initial reactions to the event of what actually happened?
Yeah, and I think I'll just talk Paul on this, that the immediate response was, US has a history of political violence. So this is, first of all, not a first instance of political violence. But what was really striking is the images, the videos, the spectacle of the violence that started flowing through digital platforms. And that was really sad to watch. And, the thing that first crossed my mind is, oh my gosh, what is this then going to enable in terms of shaping a broader political context of the US, which is already so fraught, And like Paul is mentioning, sort of the information vacuum, what particularly was a thought that kept occurring to me is how this moment would be turned into making Charlie Kirk a martyr, which would be a critical ingredient, if you will, in further escalation of a pattern of authoritarianism, repression, violence that we are seeing in the US in an already escalated form.
Yeah, it's been interesting over the weekend. I know, and I run in circles with a lot of kind of religious people who have various faiths, and the posts and stuff on Facebook, exactly that, the martyrdom that they've given him, and on some level within like the Republican Party, the whitewashing of his history to paint him as an angel. Now again, I think it was a terrible thing that happened to him, and I'm confused by anybody on the left celebrating it, because one of the core tenets of people on the left is we're against gun violence, people. We are anti-gun violence. No matter what they try and tell you in America, this is where the anti-war people sit. This is where you'll find the pacifists. Those people, not everyone on the left is a pacifist, but everyone who's a pacifist will be sitting on the left, like a genuine pacifist. So I don't understand the idea of anyone on the left, quote unquote, celebrating it. I sure as fuck am not, and I don't know anyone who has. I would also say one thing about that, and I say this is the same for both sides. You can find any rando on the internet saying anything. Who matters are people with power and people with influence. I haven't heard anyone with power or anyone with influence celebrating this. Sure, some rando Antifa, whatever, someone from America doing a dance and making a song. Yeah, it's going to happen. Just like Paul Pelosi, you know, unfortunately with Paul Pelosi, it was Donald Trump's son mocking him with a dress up costume for Halloween. So I just wanted to say bluntly and out there, one of the tenets of being on the left is anti-gun violence. It's like a core tenet. If you're not anti-gun violence, I would question, maybe you should check what it says on the bottom of your I'm in the left-wing party card, because that's a core tenet of this. So going beyond that into anything else of celebration around this event, it's not me. It's not me. And then the other thing was watching the reaction through the weekend, and seeing, and we have a professor of communications with us to talk about this, but you know, the day before, well, the day of the assassination, what's her name? Mace, surname's Mace, Nancy Mace, coming out saying, let's bring back the death penalty, coming out saying this is a trans far right shooter, you know. And then once they found out who the accused shooter was, and I'm still going to say that, although how is this person going to get a trial in America when the president of the United States is saying they're guilty? When it comes out to be a cisgender white man from Utah, basically corn-fed, now Charlie would want us to pray for his soul. That's the same person over the space of a couple of days. So it's been fascinating to watch. And I've tweeted about this, and I think it's still valid to today, is like there's some things we do know and there's 99% of things we don't know. What we do know is he was a white cisgender male from a rural community and a religious family who were Republican members and Trump supporters, and someone online today referred to them as homosexuals, meaning they love their guns. And I think that's about all we know. Still, I mean, tell me if there's anything else, but that's about all we know right now. Everything else has a level of conjecture in it. You know, even when the governor of Utah comes out saying he was living and dating a transgender, partner, and then there's other reports saying he was living at home. You know, so this is all still grey area. I do. I'll shut up in a sec. But I do find it quite interesting that it went from this is a transgender shooter to this has got transgender iconography on the bullets to he lives with a transgender person. It's like they're just doing everything they can. Just like next, it's going to be they were a fan of what was her name off the Orange Is the New Black, Laverne Cox. Is it Laverne Cox? Oh, he was a fan of hers, the actress who's trans. Like there's this, they're trying to get it in there any way they can, and everything they've done so far has come up against a roadblock of truth. But as I said, everything else is still conjecture. Even for people who are saying he's a groper, you know, who would be the opposing views to us. All still conjecture at the moment. So that was my thoughts over the weekend.